Hey guys, V-Man for No Budget Productions, and with me today is Sean Reimer.
Hello.
He doesn't rhyme.
I don't. No, I've never rhymed in my life, except for that brief time where I tried having a rapping career, and that's hence why I have not rhymed since.
Not
So,
not quite successful, huh?
yeah, no, not quite.
So the reason why we're doing tonight's live stream, and maybe nobody will show up, that's fine. It's to me, I like recording these conversations because they're a little
Hmm.
more personal. As we were talking about Star Trek Online, which has been um, it's been pretty important part of my life for the past 2 months, like a little bit before Halloween. And that
Yeah.
was the thing that actually made me want to do the live stream tonight. Was we were talking about the you were talking about the events and how the summer's event changed things.
Hmm.
And when I first came on, um, they were talking. They were doing the Halloween one, the one with the witches, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I didn't know what it is, and I had done a the fighting the cat or something. I forget what it is. We were in a
Yeah.
dungeon, me and Royce's character. Um, and I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, "Yay! I'm in Star Trek!" And now I
Hmm.
actually know what's going on with Q's, Winter Wonderland. Um, so for me, it's kind of a large world. But so what changed with this past summer with the event stuff? I mean, is it something new? Because again, like I said earlier, all of this stuff is Greek to me. When you're talking, a lot of it goes over my head, but I'm like a sponge
Hmm.
trying to soak up as much as I can. Hold on just a second. Mark Ferguson says hello from Mark
Hey,
Ferguson.
Mark, or I should say, oh, hi, Mark. That would be more appropriate. Um,
What's up,
so,
Mark?
so the question is, what's changed with this summer event?
Yeah, yeah,
So, okay, so for background, we kind of have to go over a little bit of what's been going on with sort of the high end meta for Star Trek Online, which a lot of players they're not high end by any means, and it is like it can be an expensive game when you're trying to get into the meta. At least that's how it was, for the first majority of the game up until fairly recently when we've been able to get a lot of some of the best stuff in the game for free or for fairly cheap for I don't know $30 or something like that.
yeah,
But I mean that is the first major change as of late. A lot of the best stuff has been free to play, which is a excellent change for newer people like yourself getting into the game,
yeah.
or people wanting to be competitive but also not wanting to bleed their wallet dry. So I think it's a good change. But to really go over why this stuff has been impactful, we need to talk about what has made builds competitive up until this year. So one of the main strategies for increasing a ship's damage in the game has been a space trait called unconventional systems. And what this space trait is, so it goes into your personal space traits for your character. Um, what it is, every time you hit a control bridge officer ability. So something like gravity well or scramble sensors, tractor beam, jam targeting sensors, um, a good chunk of the intel and temporal abilities, which is why those ships in the game have become very, very popular. A ship that can combine temporal abilities or intel abilities, or preferably both. Um, Anytime you hit some of those abilities, and there's an entire list of them as well, and I can send you that. Um, but every time you hit those abilities, it'll give a 7% recharge rate to your universal consoles for them to come back online, so you can hit them again. Um, So very powerful stuff like if you're on a science build, you can get your Genesis seed or your plasma storm back online, or if you're on a tactical build, you can get your fleet power network array going faster, so you can increase your weapon firing haste. Various things like that, for your heavy hitting activatable universal consoles, or clickies as they're called, because you click them to activate them. At least on PC, I guess you kind of, on console they're called pressies. Don't quote me on that. I'm just making up my own crap. But
You know, right now
so
you've got like 50,000 like console players going, "You fucking liar! You don't know what
pretty
you're."
much, yeah, they're all
He
like,
wasn't like
yeah,
this when he
face
had the
me in
beard.
Karat, you scum. You'll get blasted. And to which I say, yeah, I probably will, but I mean, I don't know. I have fun on my own.
That's
Story of
assuming
my
people
life.
watch. That's assuming people watch watch me. They don't care.
Exactly. So it's there's that side of it where you can activate your universal consoles a lot quicker. And there's other abilities in the game that depend on you activating universal consoles. Like there's a trait that is used on pretty much every build in the game called universal designs, that comes off of the crossfield refit. So the discovery from season 3 onwards,
Mhm.
where every time you activate a universal console ability, it'll get you 2% crit chance and 10% crit severity, and it stacks up to 5 times. So if you hit 5 universal console abilities, you'll get 10% crit chance and 50% severity, which is a pretty large amount. Um, and then there were consoles like Immolating Phaser Lance, where you could activate it every 5 seconds and get those stacks up very quickly. Um, so what ended up changing a lot was, in the summer event that came out this past summer, there was a ship called the Vavin Obelisk. It was like a remaster of one of the earlier ships in the game, and it had a console on it called Subspace Fracture Tunneling Field, I think it was called. Trying to remember the names of the actual consoles, it can get hard. So oftentimes I'll be like, oh, it's the Vovin console, or it's the Elios console for the new winter event. Like I just named the ship that the console came off of as the console. Like for example, me and Vance were just talking about the shield absorbency frequency generator, but I just call it the Valdor console because it comes off of the Valdor, where it can replenish your shields. And that in itself has become very powerful, because now firing haste has gotten very fast because of Fleet Power Network Array coming along from a $30 ship, where if you hit it where your subsystems are high, it can make your weapons fire a lot faster. Um,
One
so
thing. Oh,
where the
go ahead.
Vovin console, you were saying? Or
No, go ahead.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. Okay. Where the Vovin console comes in is, it's a teleportation effect where you hit it and then you can teleport to a target that you have selected and go closer to that target. Thing is, people don't use it for that ability. They actually disable that ability. What they use it for is, there's another ability in it where if you hit that button, it can half, like it can reduce your recharge time for your universal consoles by half. So it just, not like, if the console takes 2 minutes to recharge, hit that console, bam, hit the Vovin console, and it'll reduce it to a minute. And then you just hit your control abilities, and you'll be able to get that up and running in no time. So something like I said, getting your Fleet Power Network Array up a lot quicker. You'll be able to keep your weapons firing faster, for an extended period of time, because you're just able to press that ability more frequently. Something like the Agony Redistributor, off of the Terran Defiant, which was an ability that was overpowered, and then it got nerfed to the ground, and then it got buffed up a little bit. And now that you're able to hit this a lot more frequently, you can target a big enemy with it, and then any of your attacks towards that enemy spread to other targets, and you're doing a massive amount of damage. If you're able to hit that more frequently, you're doing a lot more damage. And it extends to healing as well, where if you have DPRM, the Dynamic Power Redistribution module, if you're able to recharge that console quicker, you're able to get that healing a lot quicker, and you're able to stay alive a lot easier. So it's the impact of that console, that Vavin console, is tenfold. It changes a lot. Even ships that don't have a whole lot of unconventional system seating, like for example the legendary Avenger, it being a miracle worker ship. Miracle worker is notorious for boosting energy weapons, but people only use two abilities on it because nothing is a control ability, and nothing will recharge your actual consoles. It'll just boost your energy weapons. But a lot of the damage of the game comes from those consoles, not just your weapons. So, and then fast forward to the the Elios, which is the winter event ship, which is again free. That has an ability on it where you can activate these toggles and keep them activated, where it can take some subsystem power, but then it can boost your firing cycle haste, your crit chance, and your crit severity. Um, and it's not something that really deactivates unless you want it to. But say if you activate those three toggles before a map starts, you've already got 3 stacks of universal designs then. So you're already up um, a good amount of crit chance and crit severity, and then you can just turn them off. And because it only takes 10 seconds to turn them back on, by the time you're warping towards those Borg and say an infected space map, you've already completely maxed out universal designs. And then, like I said, firing cycle haste. The Ilios console is something that can impact the recharge rates or the firing cycle of experimental weapons as well, because most things in the game don't impact the firing rates of experimental weapons. So you're seeing those sorts of weapons like the Hexa quad cannons off of the Achilles, which is another $30 ship. You can put those cannons on there, and you're able to boost the firing rate of these phaser cannons. So,
And that was the one thing that I appreciated, because at this point I've been playing the game for a little over 2 months now,
mhm,
and you and I both know I've put quite a bit of money into it,
mhm.
and
So have I. So
like start
yeah,
like starting off though, I wanted it to be no money. This is
yeah,
a free to play. I don't want to put anything into it, but it was one of those things where I had my heart set on I want the Constar C, because
hmm,
we were doing the filming, we were so and you had seen the um footage of the Constar for so long, and I found out you had that ship on yours, and I had fallen in love with that design, and I was like, man, if I could get that on Star Trek Online, that'd be cool. And having that, I was like, oh man, let me get Star Trek on. Let me tiptoe back into this, and that, because I had tried playing it on my laptop. Oh hell, maybe 12 years ago, I think it was, and I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, fuck this, because I was trying to play on my keyboard, and it was
yeah,
all confused, and I couldn't get into it. But going back into it on console, it was so much easier, for someone as simple minded like I am, because I'll admit, like, I'm more of a Mario type guy, like A B
yeah,
run jump, um, but so going into this, like I'd gotten that first ship, which you had a couple options. I think one was a Miranda class, one was a key, our keys or arches or whatever. Fucking, like, I don't remember what they were, but I was like, I don't want these ships. I want where's my ship,
yeah.
And then I think it was tier 2 where I finally got a refit Constitution, and it was, yeah, I was flipping. I was flipping out. Like, I remember messaging you, going, "Yay!"
I won the
Um,
game. So,
yeah, and you're like, "That's not an in-game ship, though." And I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
mhm,
But as the game levels with you, you don't realize that. Oh man, the ship sucks. Because
yeah, yeah. Ten
now that
levels
I'm
later, it's like, oh, what the hell's this? So,
yeah, because I'm level 65 right now. I just got there like maybe a week and a half ago, a week ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I play it consistently every day. And oh, Mark Phillip says, "Evening. I'm glad I'm not the only one that tried playing it on a laptop and got so lost." Yeah, I fucking did, man. Like, I'm sitting there on the bridge, and I'm like, "What station do I go to? What?" And I'm jumping, and I'm like, "Why am I jumping?" So I'm trying to fight the Borg, and I'm like, What am I doing?" Like, I was happy that I shot one Borg, but then I died, and I'm like, What am I doing?" I was so confused. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Um, and the fact that I wasn't in a Star Trek uniform, like, I was mad. I'm like, man, I'm gonna I'm gonna go blow some shit up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like the fact that like I think the first ship I got was that I actually paid for, because I had gotten, I think, a ship or two after, but I bought and paid for, because you recommended the Terran.
Adamant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, to anyone that doesn't know, because and forgive any one of us that if we're speaking above your head, or if we're speaking too long, because both Sean and I get very passionate about this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit, like, he speaks over my head sometimes, and I speak over my son's head when I'm telling him about the game. So, forgive us.
The
But
amount
we're
of times over the past couple months I've heard, okay, talk to me like I'm 5,
yeah,
and so it
I do.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Next time I make Stow with Sean videos, I'm gonna have to approach it from that level. So.
Well, and I don't know how many times I've had to say to Sean, "Hey, man, I know you've told me this a dozen times, but
Mhm.
one more time. Like, what am I like tonight? Like, I called him. I said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna put this on Facebook. You got to tell me how to do this dilithium to Zen shit so I can get this console." Like, and he's told me this, like, I think 3 times. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I still don't know, and I just did it. So, so infinite patience this guy's got. Mark
I'd be
Phillips
a
says,
good doctor. I got a lot of patience.
Mark Phillips says, "I couldn't even shoot anyone." Yeah, dude, right, right. Um, but I was so happy that I got that Terran Adamant, because
Mhm.
like you could feel like that the nostalgia that I had when Cisco and them in the episode The Search Part 1, when the Defiant just rips through the Jem'Hadar ship and it fires the quantum torpedoes the first time. That's how I
Mhm.
felt flying this ship. You felt that powerful. You felt ripping through the enemy. And that's how I felt flying the ship. And that's what I think Star Trek Online does a really good job at, is recreating the nostalgia feel, but making it fresh, and recreating those elements from our childhood. Um,
Mhm.
and I felt the same way several levels later, after I had bought the Disco Inferno Muds bundle, um, which, well, I'll delve into that in a second. And I had gotten finally the Constar C,
Mhm.
and I'm seeing these phasers just fucking spiderweb out, and I'm like, fuck, because it was so much like Discovery season finale from season 2, where the Enterprise is just firing everywhere, and you've got these uh, little attack ships firing too, and it's just, to me, it was so cool, because it recreated that moment for me too, and there's so much that
Mhm.
it's recreated. Um, the thing that I like about this is, if you don't want to spend that money for the Muds bundle, which it's almost $300. It's $295, and but they have a couple times a year they split it in half, so it's 147, which is still a shit ton of fucking money, especially for something that you can't touch.
Yeah. Especially
It's
now
not.
that game print doesn't exist anymore, where you could
Yeah,
3D print your ships.
yeah,
Which, by the way, they finally got my refund for canceling my order after they went out of business. So, which
yeah.
sucks. I can't have a 3D copy of the Blue Nose, at least not right now. But I digress.
Well, and that, like, it to me, I very seldom spend money on myself. I
Hmm.
don't like it. Usually, if my son needs something, I'll buy him. If he wants something, I'll get it. If my wife needs something, I'm like, fuck it, get it, whatever. But for me, like, this is my allowance. This is
Hmm.
my, you know what, I'm gonna get this. Let's do it. If I see something, I'm like, you know what, I'll save it. I'll go get master keys, sell them for energy credits, save the money, buy it in the exchange. Which was that was a wonderful advice you gave me. For anyone that doesn't know, If you're looking for a ship instead of waiting for a Muds bundle or waiting for something that's super expensive, you might want to try it on the exchange. You know, sell some master keys for energy credits for what was it, 10 million, I think,
Yeah, 10 million per key.
per key. Yeah,
Or, if you're like me and you happen to, randomly convert, a tiny bit of Zen to, or a tiny bit of dilithium to Zen to be able to get one key, and then you just happen to get a tier 6 ship, selling that ship isn't a bad idea either, or at least choosing one that you see on the exchange would get you some profits. Which, by the way, if anyone's on PlayStation, I'm currently offering a 800 million EC World Razor. So if please someone take it off my hands, so I can get a little bit of Lobby to get this winter ship to buy that out, because that'll be I'm honestly itching for that console. And that's something you realize too playing the game, where um you get to a point where you're not necessarily craving a ship for the ship, you crave it for the parts, so you can put
yeah,
it on your flagship, which is something I find really fun about the game. It's like you're constantly tinkering. It's
yeah. Trying
constantly
to,
the building of the ship.
you feel like a cyber Scotty because you're looking at something going, oh, how can I improve this, and
Yeah.
get this. And that's the thing that I love about, because at first when I got the well, what I call the Destiny,
Hmm.
which is the Terran Adamant, Defiant class. um it has those quantum torpedo type weapons. What are they called in the game?
uh
Are they pulse cannons? No, they're
the
dual.
in terms of I'm pretty sure it comes with quad cannons.
Fine.
And then the experimental weapon, I kind of forget what's on the Terran Adamant, because I took it
but
off
it,
because it's not
but
the best experimental weapon. But
but when it shoots, like it shoots straight forward, so you got to be looking at what you're fucking
yeah,
attacking. But then it scatters like right in front, right
scatter
in front of
volley.
you. Yeah, and it's a wonderful choice, especially for a ship that turns just like this. Like, I mean, it turns on a dime.
Hmm.
And I had bought, after I had gotten that ship, maybe a couple weeks. I bought the World Razor, and I
Hmm.
bought the Vengeance because I loved those ships. And I was still waiting on the Constar C to come out for the Muds bundle. So I was like, well, let me get these other ships while I'm waiting, because I thought that might satisfy my craving. And I found with this game, there's a lot of cravings that I have that I didn't know that
Hmm.
I wanted. Um, like I still have that craving for the Kelvin one, even though I'm like, I don't really need it, but fuck, I want it. you know,
Yeah.
um, just like I want the Warship Voyager, I want that for some reason. And I might make do with the Warship Voyager one, or the Terran Warship Voyager, the one that it's like a Voyager A, but it's a Terran one. It's got the
Yeah.
warp nacelles, but it's slanted down. So I might make do with that because it's like, it's close enough. I don't have to worry about spending Mud's bundle to get that.
Hmm.
Um, but like the thing about this is like it's nice because you can have a massive fleet, or you can dwindle it down and say, I'm just going to choose a couple of handful of ships that I want to keep close.
Hmm.
Or like the uniform collection. Like I've seen a lot of uniforms that I'm like, let me put this on my character and see what he looks like in this, and then run around in it. Like to me it was kind of cool to see my character in the Wells, you know uniform, um just to have him in it, you know
Yeah.
um and that's really where they get you. Yes, it's free to play, but if you want this, it's just a little bit extra. And then you're sitting there
Yeah.
going, fuck, what do I got to do to get that? um Hold on just a second. Mark Lawrence says, I have STO. I have 2 lifetime accounts I mess around with. He says
Back
I
when
still play.
lifetime accounts were a thing. Yeah.
He says I still play with my 1990s SK 9000 style keyboard and touchpad mouse under the arrow keys, much faster to reinforce shields, facings, and get back to mouse movements than a mouse. Yeah.
See, that's something I need to do more. Reinforce my shields. Like actually, on console, hold down the left thumbstick in combat to reinforce them. I just again, I put the shield absorbencer frequency generator on there, and I just kind of let it
Wait,
do
you can
that for
reinforce your.
me.
See, I didn't even know you could do that. See,
Yeah,
there's a lot.
well, it's something I keep forgetting too. So it's
See,
eh.
see, you guys know more than I do. I'm sitting there going, wow. I, you ever watch The Walking Dead, Sean?
It's occasionally.
You know,
Yeah, back when my dad was into it. Yeah.
do you know the girls? You know the two sisters, the one where the one girl, like, she's like, oh, look at the pretty flowers, and then the Carol comes up and shoots her. Like, that's how I feel like I am, like, oh, look at the pretty phasers, because, like, I don't know shit about the game, and I'm just waiting for someone to come up behind me and just shoot me in the back of the fucking head, like, I don't know shit about the game. Oh,
Well, it's a lifetime thing. Like I'm constantly learning new stuff about the game all the time. So it's I think just the other day I was trying to look through a list. I was like, okay, which consoles scale with exotic particles? And I was like, oh, okay, so like I could get away with that. I could just kind of nitpicking, and it's little things like that. Or I was thinking about like hull penetration versus armor penetration, and going through stats and stuff like that. And that's why
So you're
I go through the spreadsheet a lot too, where I'm constantly comparing different numbers of ships and
you're a fan
stuff
of
like that.
penetration, is what you're telling me.
Yes, Sean can penetrate. So yeah.
Don't let nobody penetrate you, though, is what you're saying. It's
Yeah, no,
one way.
no
One way.
penetrating me. I got my shields up. But
Mark Lawrence says, no mods here. I mean, I
yeah,
don't
no,
use mods on STO. I love giving things to newcomers. Gifted a lifetime account to Stuart at Trickyard
really.
and a universe class as well. Dude,
Nice.
that's fucking awesome, dude. Universe class. Which one is that now?
That's the J.
Dude, the J. Okay, so
Yeah,
Mark, let me
the
ask
Aunt
you this.
Jemima.
So that, like, I went out and again, like, that was one of those ships that I did not know that I wanted, but I couldn't help, like, I spent so much time looking online because
Hmm.
Sean was like, hey man, go check out this website, it's got all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, much like Santa's wish list, I'm like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then my son eventually was like, hey dad, how many times are we going to go to the store to get these cards? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Royce. Don't make me feel bad about this. Yes, I'm
So
talking
just
to
so
you, son.
everyone knows, just because I shared him the video of me replicating the Constar C, this is all my fault.
Hundreds
Um,
of dollars.
yeah, I've cost Advance hundreds of dollars. I don't regret it. So.
Well, Lexa does, because I'm now your wife, right? Isn't that what she tells me?
Every day it's like, when are you gonna marry him? Just get it over with already. So
Dude, I don't know how many times I've called, like, on my way to work. I'm like, Sean, are you busy or are you free? Like, that's my like, that's my hit list for everyone. When I call Josh, I say the same thing. When I call Frank, I say the same thing.
yeah.
When I call Greg Mitchell, it's the same thing. And I know every one of you are always like, fuck, stop calling me fat man. I know every one of you is like that, because it's like, you got a life. And I'm like, I have no sense of time or a life. So, but no, like, the
He
Enterprise.
even called me during a fire alarm too, for God's sake. It's like, oh yeah, someone set the building on fire, but I
Look,
got 5 minutes.
look, if you're on fire, you've got to tell me this, because if I lose you, I will never know, and no one will tell me.
Yeah, and we need to make the Sanders tributes as best as possible for the next film. So
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But no, the Enterprise J, like, the thing about that one is it's so fucking massive,
yeah,
and everything around you, it dwarfs it.
yeah.
It's like the liberated Borg Juggernaut that I just bought.
Mhm.
Again, like, I didn't know you could buy that ship, and then when I saw it, like, I flew up to fucking Space Dock in
Mhm.
my Constar C, and right behind me is that Borg liberated Juggernaut, and I'm like, oh! So I busted
Yep.
a nut, and I'm like, I gotta get that. So I'm like, how much is it in the exchange? Like, where is it? Because I had bought a Borg ship once, and the only one that was there was it said Borg Assimilator, and I was like, oh, that's got to be that ship. And I
Mhm.
bought it, and I was disappointed. I mean, I was excited because I'm like, hey, cool, a Borg ship. But I was disappointed because I was like, that's not what I thought I was getting. I thought I was getting that Liberated one. And I was
Mhm.
like, it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to complain because Borg ship's Borg ship. But if I could have not got it and got this one, I would have.
Mhm.
But I was happy for what it was. And then when I saw that, I was like, I gotta get it. And that ship is also fucking massive. And it just nobody could fuck with you.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, it's slow as shit, but
Yep.
it really is like, I'm gonna come after you, and nothing you do is gonna mess with me. I mean, it's got phasers galore, it's shooting at you, but it takes its time destroying you, but it's destroying you. And it's just
Mhm.
like, man, a living agony for all the other ships attacking me, you know? And that's something I didn't feel with the Enterprise J. Um, but I think the Enterprise J is more massive than that ship.
It
But
is. It's
that's
and a lot more flat. Like we're
yeah, yep.
we're talking like Riley Reid flat. So if you guys want to know my opinion of the Enterprise J, there you have it. But
I think those ships though, I like I said, the Vengeance, the the Enterprise J, the World Razor, and the Liberated Borg Juggernaut, like all of those, with the Terran Adamant and the Strange New Worlds Constitution, like all
mhm.
of those fly differently,
Yeah.
and their weapons feel different when you fly them, fire them, like it feels completely different. And I love that about this game. Like a lot of these games, it's just put a different skin on it, call it good, it's whatever. But that's what I really enjoy about this game is it feels completely different. And I got what was that one Mirror Universe ship that I just got that I was like, it's weird, it's a science ship.
Yeah.
And
It was
and that's
I forget what it was called, but it was a funky looking thing. So it was a tier 5 something or other. So
yeah, and that was my first science build. And I
mhm.
told you I was like, I don't know if I'm a fan of this, but I could definitely see a difference in why somebody would enjoy this, because you have to think it's not just pure weapons. It's just like
Mhm.
you got to think your way out of it, and it was enjoyable. You know, um, it was odd. You know, is that Alexa?
Yeah, she has a shadow gun at my
I
head.
see that. I see that. Stop messing with my hubby, Lexa.
Tesla's come. She's come back from the dead.
It's a hallucination.
So Mark Lawrence here says it only seems flat because of its size, and I feel like that's a euphemism. I feel
Oh
like
my
that's some.
god.
I feel like that belongs on like a game show, something you can say on a first date and in Star Trek. You know?
I know that's a total Family Feud type thing.
Yeah.
That's the only time I would do well at Family Feud.
Oh shit! How are we doing, Lexa?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've got a week off from work. I'm gonna go spend time with Royce tonight for guys' night. It's fucking great. I spent Christmas shopping with Royce today, and then I went and played some Star Trek Online, and now I'm hanging out with my husband. It's great.
Yeah, I know. Our
That's good.
yeah, we got our Christmas planned and whatnot. Yeah, so
Good deal. Good deal.
yeah.
Sandra's here.
Well, real quick, we'll just spend another 5 minutes, and I think we'll call it good. Let
Sounds
me
good.
ask you this: the change from cryptic
The
to
Deca.
Deca, and this is what originally spawned the whole thing. You were talking about the summer thing. We were talking about the winter thing, and it spawned the whole thing of like, wow, things have changed just in the short amount of time I've been part of this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see coming up? Because I've heard from Stu, I've heard from the other two people that you sent me videos of, and I watch religiously.
Yeah, as do
What
I.
do you think? Because honestly, like, those guys are great. I love them. But you're my expert. You're my go-to guy. Whenever I have
Mhm.
Star Trek Online shit that I gotta work out, I call you. What do you think about what's to come, and what do you want to happen?
What do I want? So I'm glad that there's been a focus on free content lately in terms of you could buy this out, but if you just play a little bit each day, get some progress in this, you can get like properly like some really good stuff for free. I think that's awesome. Like I look at the Vavin console, I look at there was the flagship event where it had the Kittimer space set where the shield for that is that's completely taken me by surprise as a meta shield. I have that like I've had to rearrange my shield deflector engine and warp core because the shield, as your shields go down, it can just eject a ton of anti-proton damage, which pairs really well with the Valdor console, which regenerates your shield, so you can just like it's its own attack and you're not even using weapons on it. So stuff like that, I'm really glad there's an emphasis on some really good free stuff, and even the stuff that comes out in the C store, like the different anniversary bundles. The one that really caught me off guard for being insanely good for the stuff you're getting is that Heritage bundle. The three ships in that, which are three ships inspired by Star Trek video games, like Star Trek Armada and various other ones of the in the past. Um, I those three ships, they all have something to offer that's been groundbreaking. The Typhon comes with a fortress mode, and it comes with some really good stuff if you're doing pet builds and carrier stuff. The Achilles Miracle Worker Destroyer it comes with those Hexa quad cannons, which has completely changed the game for experimental weapons, and they look and sound amazing. Like if you have a phaser build, honestly, get a ship with an experimental weapon slot, and you're gonna have the time of your life with those. Put some cannons on there, and then put the Hexa quad cannons for the experimental weapon, and you're gonna be doing a ton of damage. Like, because the downside with those with the experimental weapon is you need to be dead on. Which, if you have a cannon build, it's no big deal because you need to be dead on facing your enemy anyway. So you're gonna be dealing even more damage. And then it has a console where it'll create like a quantum torpedo martyr that'll spit like 12 quantum torpedoes in the air, and it'll seek different enemies and bombard them. It does a crap ton of damage. I had to like there was a console I took off of my Deusai build because I was like, I'm trapping so many enemies in my gravity well. It would be a shame if I didn't bomb the ever living crap out of them with this ability. I don't even have torpedoes on my ship anymore. It's just pure cannons, and then I have that micro torpedo bombardment on there, which is great. The Premonition, which is the science ship, has a console where you can spawn an Enterprise F to help you fight, and it'll speed up your firing cycle. So all three of those ships have something to offer, which sadly it's not something I can say for. Well, I shouldn't even say sadly. I think gladly the very expensive ships like the $200 promo ships that have come out this past year all suck, honestly. The Enterprise A from Star Trek Beyond, for example, it's I'm not paying $200 for a skin as much as I love that ship at the end of that movie. It's a much worse version of the Terran Hydra.
That's one thing. That's one thing that I hope that they course correct on. I understand, like, some of these bundles are great
Mhm.
for yay Hydra, says Alexa, bless your heart. That's one
I
thing
know
that
you like
I
that ship. I know you like it.
that's
Like,
one thing that's one that's one thing that I wish that I hope they fix some of these bundles,
mhm,
because I know they make their money. I know they make money there,
mhm.
but I think if they were to put an emphasis on, hey, let's nickel and dime some of this instead of try to squeeze all this money, blood from a turnip.
Mhm.
Um, like for people like me who doesn't mind buying individual ships all the time, like, instead of like maybe a $30 ship, boost it up to 50 or something
Yeah,
instead of, like $147 for a half price Muds bundle, like, because,
because I understand needing to have a lockbox. I understand needing to
yeah,
monetize the a free to play game. I feel like there's an angle you can get with it, a sort of middle ground where
yeah,
maybe increase the price a little bit on these C store ships, and then the
yeah,
lockbox stuff. I think increase the odds, or at least like the more you open, the higher a chance you get. Because
yeah.
it's like when you upgrade weapons or gear in the game, the more upgrades you put in, the higher chance you have to increase the rarity of it.
Well,
I think something like that for getting a ship in a lockbox, that would be a
or
great
maybe,
idea.
yeah. I think at some point, like, it gets like for me, there's really not much left to the game that I actually want. Um,
For now, because you're always going to learn something, and then it's going to you know crack your brain wide open and be like, I need this, and
it
I'm telling you,
makes
the reputation system, like, there's some really good stuff there, and there's a ton of stuff you haven't even cracked the surface of, I'm telling you.
Oh, dude, I
So
haven't even finished. I haven't even finished my missions. Like, I mean,
yeah.
and that's like I really wanted to focus on until at least after the New Year, the break. Like during this break, I plan to try to get like maybe a mission a day. To at least start recording again, because I've recorded. Oh hell, I think I've recorded up to like January 21st. And I hope those who are watching the continuing adventures of the Constar are enjoying those through the Star Trek Online, because I've had anywhere from, like, on average about 50 people who are watching them. A couple people have commented, and I hope you guys enjoy that. It's nothing like super official. It's just it's me playing the Star Trek Online stuff, because I
Hmm.
enjoy it. I figure you guys might too, and some people seem to enjoy that. Um, but I wanted to grab the stuff before they went off sale. But I enjoy the fact that they do those sales. Um, the Thanksgiving sale was a huge thing.
Yeah.
But I think I think they would do a lot better with, like I said, raising the price, from 30 to maybe 50, and then so you know, people like me who don't mind spending $50, for a ship, that's just sitting there would probably. Um, Last Chance and I saw the live and jumped in. Hey, what's up, man? Welcome. We're about to be done, but glad you showed. Hope you
Stay
enjoyed.
tuned. Who knows what could happen? Who knows what I could spontaneously say? Apples.
But so do you think the storyline wise for everything, are they supposed to be doing like how often do they release a story a year?
Usually 2 or 3 new episodes come out a year. It's slowed down a bit because just things, the missions are getting longer, so, and there's more intricacies, um more stars from the shows. They're like, that's what I've noticed too. A lot of people from the shows have really taken notice with the game, and they're coming on and voicing their characters. I know
You know who we need to get
uh
on? We need to get Denise Crosby on there.
they have.
That's a
Yeah,
joke.
well, we
Like 15 times.
it's the sarcasm. Ah,
You don't get the joke. You get the cane.
why are you so Greek about it?
It, fe-
Skase, you Blaka.
it feels like a
Um,
it feels like a porno, man. Like
That's a good idea. But
Maybe the series finale of Lower Decks will influence a future expansion. I've really been enjoying Constar and I'm trying to get. Oh, that's awesome! I'm really glad, man. That's awesome. I'm really glad that you're enjoying the Constar.
yeah,
Like
seriously,
that's
thank
like
you.
honestly, like I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for Sean introducing me. Like he's been trying to get me to play it for a long time, and then when us filming and having such a good time on set, to me it just made sense to be like, let me just combine these two and then let everybody watch. I mean, if I'm going to play it, I mean, this is now my head canon. I don't know, I share that with everybody else. I'm really glad you're enjoying. Um, and I can't wait to play the rest of the missions and see what goes on.
And it would be interesting if, like, and I know me, you, Josh, we've been joking about how much CBS has been taking from fan films and stuff like that. I think it would be funny if STO started creating their own characters based on our characters and us having like a Leonardo DiCaprio Once Upon a Time in Hollywood moment, just being like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, going in fan films, that could be something for the story. I think one thing I want them, that I think would be cool for them to do, although it might break the game possibly. So for tier 6 ships in the game, they've had for the past few years now, they have starship upgrade tokens called T6X and then T6X2, where you can, get you can get one of these tokens and put it on your tier 6 ship, and you get extra device slots and trait slots and console slots. I think a cool extension of that would be you put one of these tokens on your ship and you get an extra weapon slot and maybe a hangar slot, where you can put some hangar pets. Because my god, if I could take my Terran Hydra, which already comes with a bunch of accessories for pet builds, and I could get a hangar slot, um, I would cream myself quite quickly, if that were the case. So I think, because I know there's people in the community going, oh my god, the meta's broken. Like 2 years ago, we weren't able to crack like 100 or crack like 1 million DPS, and now we're aiming for 3 million in a very very short amount of time because of all the overpowered stuff that's come out. Look what the Tribble dragged in. Hey, Lex, it's your favorite. No, Frank.
Frank!
She won't stop about Frank. Every day it's Frank. um,
But do you think they'll ever get to a point where they have like a T7 ship?
I don't know. It's been over a decade with tier 6. I don't know, because with tier 7 they're gonna need to like take what's been in, like, not just tier 6 but tier 6 x2, and then turn that into its whole, like, a whole new tier, which is, well, that's breaking the game at that point. That's going to be nuts. If so, I think they're comfortable sticking with tier 6 and then charging more money for the upgrades. But Frank says LOL.
Well, on that
So
note, I need to head off. I'm gonna go spend time with Royce. He's starting to
yes,
yawn. I want to get to him before he gets to sleep. And we got to do
and
some Tickle
I'm
Monster.
gonna try and restrain Lex's cane from going after my head, and maybe get some bubble wrap around that thing. 'Cause that thing, she goes
Looks like it
ballistic
hurts.
with it.
There you
The
go.
only, yeah, yeah.
Well, all right, man. Well, one of these nights, maybe during Christmas break or something, or maybe shortly after, we got to get you and me on the Constar and the Blue Nose, like go on one
Yeah.
of these missions together. Because honestly, like we did that one time. I don't think we recorded it. Or maybe we did. I
I
don't
I
think we,
think I recorded like a little bit of footage on my end of me just like sitting back and watching you and the
I think
I
that
think
might
it
have
was
been, yeah.
the Destiny just kind of ducking
Yeah.
and weeping through enemies.
I
So
think, yeah, I was gonna say, I think that might have been before I started getting on my, got to record for mission. But like now that I got the Constar, I think I want to do that. Like, yeah, I think that's what
yeah,
I want to do. So I think once I get to a point where I take Sanders off my bridge crew, and then I have the Blue Notes, I think that would be kind of cool to have the side by side, you know. I think that would be cool. But
Because I mean, and maybe it would be a good sort of precursor to. I know I said I've been working on a Blue Nose series. I'm still kind of brainstorming possibilities for that. I think it could be a cool experiment to see if maybe even there's some way I can use footage from Star Trek Online in the show. But yeah, who knows?
dude, I have to say some of those shots. Hey Donna, what's going on?
Hey Donna.
I have to say some of those shots, man, like just like the beauty shots of it above Earth, where the space dock is, like just
Mhm.
like when I had that Borg liberated Juggernaut, like just flying above Earth, like just sitting there in orbit. I was like, "Fuck, dude, that is
There's
like that was."
a lot of that in the game. Like there's even I told this story. There was a system that I discovered in the game, and it's in the Alpha Quadrant. It's kind of near Deep Space Nine. It's called the no joke the Reimers system, spelt the same way. And so I was like, oh my god. So I went there, and like it wasn't anywhere I could explore, but I was like, okay, cool. But then one time I did fly by there again, and it said press X to warp to the Reimers system, and I pressed it, and there was a patrol. And it was gorgeous. It looked like a star had just like supernova, and there was a bunch of like fireworks and stuff everywhere. It was gorgeous. I have like one shot of that map, and then I warped out thinking I could go back there, and I can't.
Hmm.
Sean Reimer, cannot go to the Reimers system again. Yeah, it sounds like Sanders hallucinated it. So, but
I think
it was beautiful.
they're trying to send you a very clear message, Sean.
They are. They're like, stay out. You haven't earned it.
Fair
So,
enough.
on
All
that
right, man.
bombshell.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight, and everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us. It was a fun time, and we got to do this again sometime, man.
Absolutely, anytime.
But you, Lexa, and everybody at home, you guys have a Merry Christmas, and take care, guys. All right.
Yes.
You too, Vance.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.